Neely and his brother Seamus are riding the rough waves of the Atlantic. Their small fishing boat heads out for lobsters, crabs and small bait fish. That's all they're allowed to fish. They don't have a problem with the tough weather and working conditions. Setting out at 4 and bringing back the catch at 10 in the evening is all par for the course for these hardy fishermen, all from Arranmore Island off the Irish coast. But they have a problem with fishing rules. Neely's great-grandfather went out for salmon fishing here, as did his grandfather and father before him. But a fishing ban on wild salmon was issued by Brussels and Dublin in 2006, and it hit the tiny fishing community on the island harder than any monster wave. Since then, Arranmore's economy has seriously stalled.
Oh, we do get angry. It was our way of life. It was our livelihood for the 16 or 18 families on Arranmore, like, that held the licence, the right to fish salmon, and then those crew members. It affected a lot of people. So I think we have a right to be angry, because there was no other employment on the island other than fishing. Like.
The island is peppered with empty houses. The ghosts of Arranmore families forced to leave their island homes to seek another future abroad. Many headed for Dublin, London, Australia and America. But it's not just about the salmon. Shortly after the ban, mixed stock fishing was closed and drift netting was also banned. A fourth-generation fisherman and island leader, Jerry blames the European Union for threatening the very existence of Arranmore's community.
What we had was a once vibrant little harbour with 20-30 boats. They've taken the heart and soul out of this little harbour that I have spent the happiest days of my life in. They've taken that away from us, away from me, and it's unforgivable. I'm so sad what they've done, and I hear the cries of ghosts on this pier.
Jerry went to Brussels with a local priest to alert them to the disastrous impact of EU policies. He painted a picture of the skeletons of fishing boats and told them that in 7 years, the island's inhabitants had almost halved. Today, just 4 full-time fishermen remain. They refuse to exchange their fishing licenses for EU compensation money. They still hope stocks will recover and fishing bans might be eased for small-scale coastal fishery. Huge international trawlers aren't allowed to fish within 12 nautical miles of the coastline, and changes to the European fisheries policy have prolonged this period of protection. Neely's daughter is called Mirren, which means White Sea. Sometimes Neely has a few strange tales for her.
We met a factory ship about 20 or 25 miles west of Arranmore Island, and he was just working off at the end of our year, like, and we called him up in the VHF and that, but he was hunting for mackerel, fishing for mackerel at that time, while all the Irish boats were tied up, all the Irish pelagic boats were tied up, which we thought was very strange for a boat, from another EU country fishing off Arranmore, and all of the Irish boats tied up.
But the problem of overfishing is serious. 39% of stocks in the Atlantic and 88% of stocks in the Mediterranean are overexploited. But Jerry says Europe shouldn't blame the small fleets. He served with the lifeboat crew for 29 years and is still passionate about serving the community. He maintains that wild salmon stocks have recovered, pleading with the Irish government to lift the ban. By his reckoning, the fishing of just 3,000 salmon a year would keep the island afloat economically.
We dispute the science. We are arguing for a 5-year pilot scheme. We have the men, we have the nets, we have the boats, we have the ocean. We have a notion that we are not allowed to fish. It's like telling a farmer he has a field that he's not allowed to plough. It is crazy, it is nonsensical, and it's going to be the death of this island.
For the first time ever, not a single baby was born in Arranmore last year, and one of the only 2 primary schools faces closure. One teacher takes care of 7 age groups in a single class in 2 different languages, English and Gaelic. Gaelic is declining, so turning Arranmore into a ghost island would be culturally and linguistically damaging for Irish heritage. Shirley calls herself a change maker. She quit her well-paid management job to settle back on the island and wants to build a future for Arranmore.
The way I see the future of jobs in Arran, there's 3 main sectors: building, with ventilation, insulation, an issue. On the whole fishing, which is very important to the island, and potentially processing and increasing the value of the fish, and obviously tourism.
Every second islander is without work. Arranmore is one of the poorest parts of Donegal County, itself one of Ireland's poorest regions. But Shirley is networking and campaigning to give Arranmore a chance. For this, islanders have to join forces, so she's called in a meeting.
I'm organising an event in Ennis-Crush Valley about future jobs in Arran. I'm bringing together all the different sectors of the community: the fishing, the farming, hospitality, construction, community services, education, transport, and the under-30s, because as we know there's no jobs here for under-30s.
Shirley linked Arranmore to a network of European islands called SmileGov. The bottom line of the EU-sponsored initiative is how to manage an island. The exchange with islanders from Denmark and other countries gave the Arranmore inhabitants some ideas, such as fish farming, which is backed by the EU and the ongoing fishery reforms. Growing salmon in tanks is not Jerry's dream, but he admits that if the salmon fishing ban can't be lifted, aquaculture offers an alternative.
Going forward, I think there is a possibility of aquaculture. Now, aquaculture not in the form of open sea aquaculture, but in the form of inland aquaculture. And I think going ahead, it could create up from anywhere from 20 to 40 jobs going forward, and that could be crucial in the long-term survival of the island.
Shirley believes there is a pot of gold somewhere at the end of the rainbow. Joining the Arranmore brainstorming session on the windswept cliffs, she puts the case for harvesting sustainable energy sources from the sea or sky.
I think this is an ideal opportunity for a wind farm, in that there's lots of wind here, there's no houses around, there is actually electricity, so if we were to put it on the grid, there would be the potential at some point in the future.
In the community centre, Seamus Bonner teaches children how to program computers, hoping that software companies will settle on the island one day. But he doesn't feel there's any political support.
We need good broadband infrastructure, which we don't have at the moment. The government recently has sent back 17 million to the European Parliament for broadband in rural areas because they said it wasn't needed. This, is frustrating, really.
Neely hauls in the crabs while Jerry drums up friends for a music session. It's a small farewell event because two of them have quit the island. From next year, the European Fisheries Fund will back job creation in small communities such as Arranmore. Failing small-scale fisheries will get privileged access to funds, and the EU has rubber-stamped small vessels like Neely's to use gill nets, but not to fish salmon. Arranmore has budged Brussels, at least a little bit.